Jaya Dvaita Chanda Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chanda Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Reading from HG Chaitanya Caritamrita. Thank you, Prabhupada. So, HG Chaitanya Caritamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, purports by Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So we continue. Adi-lila, chapter 11, text 38. Shri Sadashiva Kaviraja Bhada Mahasaya. Kaviraja Bhada Mahasaya. Shri Purushottamata Satanhara Tanaya. Shri Sadashiva Kaviraja Bhada Mahasya. Shri Purushottamata Satanhara Tanaya. Shri Sadashiva Kaviraj. Of the name Shri Sadashiva Kaviraj. Bhada, great. Mahashaya, respectable gentleman. Shri Purushottamata, of the name Shri Purushottamata. Tanhara Tanaya, his son. Translation and purport. The 23rd and 24th prominent devotees of Nityananda Prabhu were Sadashiva Kaviraj and his son Purushottam Das, who was the 10th Gopal. Please repeat the verse. The 23rd and 24th prominent devotees of Nityananda Prabhu were Sadashiva Kaviraj and his son Purushottam Das was the 10th Gopal. I'll continue the chapter. Some of these verses have purports, some of them don't, just like connecting to each other. So Ajanmani magna nityandera charane nirantara bhalya lila kare Krishna sane. Translation. Since birth, Purushottam Das was merged in the service of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and he always engaged in childish play with Lord Krishna. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Sadashiva Kaviraj and Nagara Purushottama, who were father and son, are described in the Chaitanya Bhagavata as Maha Bhagavyan, greatly fortunate. They belonged to the Vaidya caste of physicians. The Gora Ganodesha Dipika, verse 156, says that Chandravali, a most beloved gopi of Krishna, later took birth as Sadashiva Kaviraj. It is said that Kamsari Sena, the father of Sadashiva Kaviraj, was formerly the gopi named Ratnavali in Krishna's pastimes. All the family members of Sadashiva Kaviraj were great devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purushottam Das Thakur sometimes lived at Sukhashagara near Chakadha and Shimurali railway stations. All the deities installed by Purushottama Thakur were formerly situated in Beladanga Grama, but when the temple was destroyed, the deities were brought to Sukha Sagara. When that temple emerged in the bed of the Ganges, the deities were brought with Janava Mata's deity to Sahe Bedaganga Pedigrama. Since that place also has been destroyed, all the deities now situated in the village named Chandudeka Grama, which is situated 1 mile up from Palapada, as referred to above. So this continuing this chapter of great followers and great devotees of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and it has a very deep philosophical meaning, especially for the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, the Sri Panchatattva and the great personalities within Sri Panchatattva. They have their own, I would say, transcendental Sampradaya. Lord Nityananda Prabhu has many followers, great personalities, for many reasons. One of the most important reasons is that Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they manifesting their earthly pastimes. At the same time, they replay some of the original pastimes of Goloka Vrindavan, the cowboys, the gopis. Like you see, some of these personalities were hidden. Not even the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand their real identity, although they could see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the golden avatar, the beloved Nimai Pandit, the beloved Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Gaurahari. Everyone loved Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but only the very confidential devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, could understand that they were actually descending from the transcendental Goloka Vrindavan. The gopis, the gopas, they were again manifesting in different forms. Ramananda Rai, great personalities, Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari, all great Manjaris and gopis coming and facilitating and assisting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's supremely divine lila pastimes. So Nityananda Prabhu has his own numerous followers. There's so many followers and great devotees. We just come to the stage of 23 and 24. So that's continuing, the chapter is continuing, and they're all great personalities after this one. I've just I collected a couple of notes from Chaitanya Bhagavata about Purushottama Das Thakur. There is information in various Gaudiya Vaishnava literatures, especially by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. He compiled many essays on these great personalities, Nityananda Prabhu's followers and great devotees. Like I said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, not to speak of the entire Sri Panchatattva, they're having their divine interaction without even the confidential devotees being aware of it, because they're just remanifesting, replaying the divine lila of Vrindavan. So when Krishna comes, generally all great personalities come down again, and great devotees like Haridas Thakur. He came, he was actually a partial expansion, I would say, of Lord Brahma, great pure devotees. We can even see even present that Tulsi Devi, who is actually a partial expansion of Vrinda Devi, and Vrinda Devi an expansion of Radharani. They're coming down. Even now, we can, if you're very pure, we can perceive by studying the Shastras, by hearing from the spiritual master, we can at least feel Krishna's presence in many ways, and especially in this day and age when the Caitanya Lila is unfolding, the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's beautiful pastimes in the mood of Sankirtan Yagna. Therefore, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many statements glorifying the Sankirtan mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There's one beautiful verse in the 11th canto that those who have sufficient intelligence in this day and age of Kali are the most intelligent, who participate in the Sankirtan Yagna of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Those who participate, they enthusiastically serving the mission of Mahaprabhu, they consider the most intelligent. Because it's a very rare opportunity, and intelligent persons, sincere seekers, they urgently take shelter of this noble mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Nityananda Prabhu is again facilitating Mahaprabhu's the direct, like a servitor Godhead, just like Balaram and Krishna. See, Balaram is always serving Krishna, although he's Godhead himself also, just a servitor Godhead, so he's in the mood of serving Krishna. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly Krishna, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is not an avatar, he's an avatari, he's directly Krishna himself, although only very pure-hearted souls, great devotees, and the disciples and sincere students of great Mahabhagavatas can have some understanding, can have some access to these beautiful pastimes, understanding, not to speak of realizing these pastimes. And that way we can relish, we can enjoy the mood, take pleasure in the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. And you can see it even now, some family tradition of Nityananda Prabhu coming down even to the present day. Some are more aligned with the Gaudiya Vaishnava principles, some are a bit deviated, Apa Sampradaya, unfortunately. But this is the nature of the Kali Yuga. We all know that there will be Apa Sampradayas, deviations. But they are also authentic connection with the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, since they were great disciples of great, like Purushottama Das Thakur was a great devotee himself, very, very dear, and his father also. So they were great personalities, starting the line of Nityananda Prabhu to the present day. So we recognize the authenticity of these lines by seeing through the eyes of Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because it is confusing. Sometimes, like I said, they are Apa Sampradayas, and very difficult to distinguish whether this is authentic or this is just an Apa Sampradaya. Therefore, we have to be very careful, because some appear to be authentic but not necessarily authentic. They are rather tinged with Mayavada or Sahaja tendencies. Especially in the family lines, bloodline, see. Even in Vrindavan you can see the family lines of the Goswamis, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, many of the other Goswamis, they have the coming down to the present day. There's some families, family traditions, and they're representing the Goswami, but not necessarily authentically. There's a deviation there. Not all of them. Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport some of these purports as the following, as you read the Chaitanya Caritamrita, which are actually still authentic and connected to the mood and purity and simplicity of Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. So I'll just read a few notes I made collected from Chaitanya Bhagavata, which is simply confirming this short purport here. And this short purport really just explains the deities and the temples and what happened the last few centuries since Purushottama Das Thakur and Nityananda Prabhu's pastimes. They all have their family deities. Sometimes the family deities will move to one location to the other due to floods or invasions or some kind of problems there. It's human history. So, but there are many records in Chaitanya Bhagavata and many other literatures. I'll just read a couple of notes. So, Purushottama Das Thakur. So, some of these paragraphs are collected from Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavata. So, the 23rd and 24th prominent devotees of Nityananda Prabhu were Sadashiva Kaviraj and his son Purushottama Das, who was the 10th Gopal. Since birth, Purushottama Das Thakur was merged in the service of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and he always engaged in childish play with Lord Krishna. This is from Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi-lila 5, 741, 742. Sadashiva Kaviraj was greatly fortunate. His son was named Sri Purushottama Das. Purushottama Das Thakur had no concern for his external body. Sri Nityananda Prabhu always resided within the core of his heart. So this is very interesting here. As we study the lives and pastimes of Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how they manifesting the symptoms of prema, the ultimate. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was really something extraordinary, outstanding, because he also manifesting the Mahabhava of Radharani. So the very, very exalted deep pastimes here. But Nityananda Prabhu came slightly differently, externally. He appeared as a Avaduta, which is confronting many scholars, who is this Avaduta in the forest, and plays childlike activities like the Gopas and the Gopis. So they are very difficult to comprehend some of these things. And even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not many traditional scholars, for example the Madhava, the Madhvacharya Sampradaya, they couldn't actually accept his position as part of the Sampradaya for a long time. Now, of course, there are many senior, well-versed scholars who study the Gaudiya Vaishnava literatures. They can see the connection of Mahaprabhu's appearing in Brahma Madhya Sampradaya. And so now they're accepting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's reinforcing Divya Jnana of the Sampradaya coming down from Lord Brahma himself, see? And so it was because of the Panchatattva was so out of this world, and it suddenly appeared to simplify the entire message of Lord Brahma Sampradaya to a point of inaugurating the Sankirtan mission, Sankirtan Yagna, Shri Harinama Sankirtan, which is a very powerful formula. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed the very essential teachings, and the Goswamis, the 6 Goswamis, continued and explaining it in detail. There are many literatures. Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. Jiva Goswami compiled 400,000 verses on the position and pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Beautiful, esoteric, deep, transcendental pastimes that we can only just be difficult for us, not even possible to understand properly unless we are liberated souls. Therefore we are approaching these shastras, these literatures through the teachings of our spiritual master. We cannot jump over, obviously. We have to kind of see the essential teachings, just like Srila Prabhupada explained Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion of Rupa Goswami. Although Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is very vast and very detailed, so Srila Prabhupada simplified it for us, so we can understand some of these exalted qualities of Radha and Krishna, and the qualities of a pure Vaishnava, a devotee, how we can relate to these beautiful pastimes, how we can actually develop that prema. So these instructions are there by the Goswamis, so we can take inspiration, we can take directions, and we hear from our spiritual masters. And the spiritual masters explain very clearly to the sadhaka, the disciples, how to understand this and how to apply, how to actually develop these things. But has to be a plan, individual plan, that okay, this is the way we can step by step develop this pure love for Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. And we can see these exalted pastimes of Purushottama Das Thakur and his father, Sadashiva Kaviraj, who was actually a very reputed Kaviraj, a physician. Often they call them Kaviraj, especially down South India, Kaviraj. They were very, very learned in medical science, Charaka Samhita, Ayurveda. So they were great personalities who were helping the devotees of the time. At the same time, they were very devoted. So Sadashiva was greatly fortunate, and his son was named Sri Purushottama Das Thakur. Purushottama Das Thakur had no concern for his external body. Sri Nityananda Prabhu always resided within the core of his heart. So next one is Caitanya Charitamrita, chapter 1, 11, 38, 40. Sadashiva Kaviraj was a great personality. Purushottama Das was his son. From birth, Purushottama Das was absorbed in the service of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and he always engaged in childish play with Lord Krishna. His son was named Sri Kanu Thakur, a very respectable gentleman. His body was saturated with the nectar of love for Lord Krishna. Vrindavan Das Thakur has also named Purushottama Das as one of Nityananda Prabhu's chief associates. Sadashiva Kaviraj was very fortunate to have a son like Purushottama Das. Purushottama Das had no external consciousness of his body, for Nityananda Prabhu is constantly acting through him. This is in Chaitanya Bhagavata 35741. This is very interesting. Again, like I said, that since he had so much love, so much deep connection with Nityananda Prabhu, that Nityananda Prabhu was directly residing in his body. Narottama Das Thakur had a similar experience with Gaurahari, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally residing in his body. So much love and so much. So these personalities were naturally effulgent, radiating not only an aura, but radiating that energy of love. People, whoever come near them, they felt the love of Krishna. So these are very potent, powerful Mahabhagavata. More than just Mahabhagavata, they actually Shaktaveda avatars, manifesting out of Nityananda Prabhu. Like I said earlier, that they're not ordinary souls. They're coming from Krishna Lila, from Vrindavan. They're coming down to help Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was enjoying and taking pleasure in his own divine pastimes. The Krishna Lila, the pastimes of Goloka Vrindavan. And at the same time, he inspiring and encouraging his close associates to write literature on the science of devotion, science of bhakti, which we can see the Goswamis continued. But the Goswamis themselves are part of the lila because they themselves manjaris, the servants, maid servants of gopis. They're very exalted personalities, and they're not ordinary jivas. They come in here just to help Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's revelation and pastimes and message and intention, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had an intention of helping, reviving the dormant Krishna consciousness of all living entities. So he came for a very particular purpose, which is a very special thing, because not every Kali Yuga has this opportunity. Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not come in every Kali Yuga. He comes after, once in the day of Brahma, after Krishna's appearance, gradually. So we are very blessed in one way, because although there's a lot of turbulence and tribulations going on in this world, but we can see that that's also a type of purification. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu making the way for us to Satya, the mini Satya Yuga, a transit. We're transiting out of this Asuric times. So it will be difficult for us to fully understand exactly what's happening. But from philosophy point of view, and from the Shastra's point of view, and from the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can understand the golden age of Mahaprabhu has begun, and gradually manifesting as the holy name spread every town and village, gradually. It may take lifetimes, we don't know. We don't speculate, we just accept these are the conclusions, these are the Acharya statements, that we're entering a very special age within Kali Yuga, the golden age, which is extraordinary. Because to revive Satya Yuga is not that easy. It would have to be a long period. That's why the yugas are very long, as you can see. Satya Yuga, Trecha Yuga, Dvapara Yuga. And even just to transit out of Dvapara Yuga was a lot of tribulations. You can see when Krishna appeared at the end of Dvapara Yuga, and battlefield of Kurukshetra and everything happening. And then of course Kali Yuga gradually manifesting to the present day. We can see how much decline we have, even on a daily basis. The whole world is just like really depressing, actually, if you look into the current events, and how even Krishna says, and Vyasadeva and Sukadeva Goswami explains in the first canto, that in this day and age, in this Kali Yuga, the living entities have very short memories, short lifespan, troublesome, confused. They don't have much of vital energy. Everything is in decline because the age is so fallen, so forgetful. The tamasic, tamaguna, the mode of ignorance, is so prominent. So hardly any sense of pure God consciousness. Only superficial, not real God consciousness. God consciousness is scientific and real. There is a substance, there is actually experience. Krishna consciousness is not just a theoretical or scriptural knowledge, it's actually an experience. So not many people have this opportunity. Therefore Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared and reinforcing Krishna's message. He was a great preacher of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. So we can see that we can get some enthusiasm, encouragement from Mahaprabhu himself. And Nityananda Prabhu, as I said, is facilitating, helping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's beautiful lila. He was more like showing the ultimate prema, that he was so above this bodily conception of life. He was not aware of the externals anymore. He was an avadut, we call avadut, technically speaking. He was very, like, there are many examples in the Shastras and the Bhagavatam, and even in recent history, at the time of Bhaktisiddhanta, great personalities, they were hidden from the mundane vision, great avaduta, Babajis, great personalities, Gaurapishodas Babaji Maharaj, Vamsidas Babaji Maharaj. They were very exalted personalities, and they had hardly any possessions. They were vidat, material possessions, and often they were above the bodily conception of life. They didn't care for the externals. They didn't give much attention, energy to it. So they're very rare personalities, and they cannot be imitated. Sometimes we see some, tendency for sahaja. So Kali Yuga is it's very, topsy-turvy, and so many so-called devotees who imitate these pastimes prematurely without going through the proper recommended purification, samskaras and devotional service. And it's not that cheap. God is not cheap. We have to actually earn His attention with humble service. Sevan Mukha. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami explained that we actually Sevan Mukhi, the Sevan Mukha, that means we are humble servants of the Vaishnavas. Servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. And that's how we actually get realization. That's how we get the attention of Nityananda Prabhu. Because if you analyze, not to speak of reading Chaitanya Caritamrita, that the entire Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is based on developing humility, humbleness, humble service to Vaishnava, appreciating, glorifying the devotees. It's a very, very pure, although very simple, very pure process. There's no false pride. Ideally, we should develop this humility. Trinadapi sunichena. We sing that every morning. So the process of chanting is very purifying, and also we have to develop those qualities. And so Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the ultimate examples of humility, glorifying Radha and Krishna, absorption in pure devotional service, and that's what they projecting, teaching into the present day, coming down through the great teachers and spiritual masters. So Purushottam Das Thakur was himself a great personality in that sense, and he was very much in the mood of Nityananda Prabhu's, so Avaduta style. And there are some examples. Even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati recognized the great personalities who could understand the real meaning of Nityananda Prabhu's pastimes. They weren't imitating, but they were actually feeling those emotions. And only a sincere devotee who has satisfied his spiritual master, who's a sadhaka, real sadhaka, pure-hearted devotee, can feel these emotions, feel who these personalities are here. Some sort of, no, they're actually real personalities, great devotees, and Nityananda Prabhu had a whole lineage of these great devotees coming down. And as we know from Srila Prabhupada's teachings, that a spiritual master actually represents Nityananda Prabhu and Srimati Radharani also. So the most merciful forms and expansions and manifestations of Lord Krishna himself. The most kind, the motherly, the feminine, the compassion, the love. I mean, if we really, really want to approach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to go through Nityananda Prabhu. And to go to Nityananda Prabhu, we have to go through the proper procedure, proper process. We go accept a spiritual master, and humbly serve and inquire, serving them, and then by that service we acquire real knowledge, actual knowledge, more than the book knowledge. Book knowledge is helping us. Real knowledge comes within. It's a realization, the transcendental realization, and this is when the desire, this urge, let me satisfy my spiritual master, let me satisfy Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, let me participate. And that's why Srimad Bhagavatam mentions that those who participate in the Sankirtan Yagna of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Panchatattva, in Kali Yuga, are considered are the most intelligent, because it's a very, very exalted topic, and only very fortunate souls can actually somehow or other take the opportunity. And of course, the acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, they wanted to spread this great fortune as much as possible. So it's our duty also to spread Krishna consciousness, some form or another, according to our humble capacity. We can contribute something, either we contribute whatever service, whatever gift or knowledge or skills or whatever we have. Some devotees engage in direct missionary activities, preaching Krishna consciousness, distributing literature, the Brihat Mridanga, Harinam Sankirtan Yagna. Some devotees are using the intelligence, whatever. The idea is apply our skills, knowledge in the service of the Supreme Divine, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. And so Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, they're the most loving, kind and merciful forms of Krishna. They're coming down to this age to not only enlighten us, but actually save us, take us back home, back to Godhead, which is a very, very difficult thing otherwise. We have this easy, extremely powerful formula, is the holy, chanting of the holy names of Lord Shri Krishna. That's why Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu mentions, and the Goswamis also repeat this often, that in this day and age, there's no other way. There's no other way. There's no other way. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said it 3 times, except chanting the holy names of Krishna, Shri Hari. So the holy names of Krishna are very, very powerful. And when we chant together, Sankirtana, this is when the dynamics of Krishna consciousness takes place. We can have an impact on the whole world. It is not impossible. It's not just some sentiment, yes, we're spreading Krishna consciousness. We want to save the world going to hell. Because you can see that the whole world is in a top speed, going to Pataloka, hellish planets. Because of the sinful activities, ignorance, there are consequences. Compassionate devotees want to stop this, put the brake on, and let me give them Krishna. Let's show them Srila Prabhupada. Give them the holy name. Give them prasada. Encourage them. Come to Krishna. Come take shelter of Krishna. Try to understand this. Don't miss it. Human form of life, as we all know, very rare opportunity to understand these things. So the intelligent persons, they just take shelter of it as urgently as possible. So this is a very beautiful process. And devotees who have the great fortune even just to hear about this, and not to speak of acting on it, they're very, very fortunate, very fortunate souls. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to not only give us his blessings and mercy, but also to empower us to be his instruments. Therefore, sincere devotees, especially the preachers of Krishna consciousness, are very exalted persons, because they actually feel these emotions. They feel the desire, especially when we study Srila Prabhupada's life and his teachings. The mood of spreading Krishna consciousness so intense, Srila Prabhupada he really had a deep compassion, so much intensity of wanting to help, wanting to spread Krishna consciousness. He felt that, he even felt the pain of suffering of people. The people suffering around us. Everyone's suffering around, the whole world is suffering, unfortunately. We can see, not difficult to see. There's so much suffering going on. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj, he says, I do not want to go, because Lord Nrsimhadev gave all the benedictions, and Prahlad Maharaj said, my dear Lord Nrsimhadev, I do not want to go up to the Himalayas and live a reclusive life and take care of my own devotion. How can I leave these poor fools and rascals behind in large cities, ugra karma, sinful activities? How can we leave them behind? We have to help them. We have to give them an opportunity. Just like we got an opportunity. Someone picked us up, gave us a book or gave us a plate of prasadam. A devotee is very grateful to his own spiritual master and to the assembly of the devotees. We don't look at the externals, we see the spiritual significance here. How fortunate we are, all of us, just to be even here in front of Radha and Krishna and Srila Prabhupada and hear about Caitanya Charitamrita. This is an incredible fortune. So the first thing we want to do is to share and distribute it. Devotees take inspiration from these literatures and purports and great devotees. So Purushottama Das Thakur, a perfect example of that mood of Nityananda Prabhu. He was constantly preaching, very exalted. And we cannot imitate this exalted platform. We just take inspiration and we pray for their blessings. So we can continue in our humble capacity, whatever we can do for Mahaprabhu's mission. And this is our perfection. When we follow the instructions in detail of our spiritual master, and then the real blessing comes. This is when we get empowerment. And even Srila Prabhupada used to say, because the devotees were glorifying Srila Prabhupada, he done so much, and Prabhupada gave all the credit to his spiritual master, all because of that. Because this is the secret of spiritual life. When we follow through, when we seriously follow the instructions of our spiritual master, without any change, we simply repeat the teachings of Lord Krishna and our spiritual master, we cannot go wrong. Krishna will be there for us. Just like Lord Nityananda was present in the body of Purushottama Das Thakur. Because his unflinching, pure devotion, without a second. That kind of conviction we should have in our heart to our spiritual master and ultimately to Srila Prabhupada and the entire parampara. And this is the real secret. Any quick questions? Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming. Hare Krishna. This is just a beautiful pastime of Sri Caitanya Charitamrita. And it's continuing about again other followers of Chaitanya, Nityananda Prabhu. So they're all very beautiful. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare.